The demonstration. Commander Raven Blackwood stood before the mirror in her quarters aboard the GSS Hyperion, adjusting the collar of her dress uniform. The black fabric, adorned with silver insignias of Earth's United Defense Force, felt uncomfortably stiff. She wasn't used to formal attire, her natural habitat was the battlefield, not diplomatic functions. "Commander," her AI assistant Prometheus chirped through the room speakers, "the Galactic Council representatives have arrived at the demonstration grounds. Attendance is higher than anticipated." Blackwood smiled grimly. "Of course it is. They've all come to watch the primitives embarrass themselves." Earth had only joined the Galactic Alliance 3 years ago, and in that time, they'd endured countless subtle insults about their quaint technology and prehistoric approach to warfare. Today's weapons demonstration at the Centauri testing grounds would either change everything or confirm their prejudices. The testing grounds sprawled across an artificial asteroid, specifically designed for weapons demonstrations. As Blackwood's shuttle approached, she could see the gathered dignitaries, tall, willowy Etherian diplomats in their flowing robes, bulky Tauran warriors encased in living armor, serpentine Nexus traders with their crystalline data nodes glowing softly. "Quite the audience," remarked Dr. Jasper Sullivan, Earth's lead weapons researcher, sitting beside her. His weathered face showed both excitement and anxiety. "The XM-117 is ready. We've run every possible test." Blackwood nodded. The XM-117 represented humanity's response to the energy weapons that dominated galactic warfare. While other species focused on plasma cannons and quantum disruptors, Earth had taken a different approach. The demonstration arena fell silent as Blackwood took the stage. Hundreds of alien eyes focused on her, some curious, others dismissive. Ambassador Zyrlak of the Etherian Confederation spoke first, his melodic voice carrying a hint of condescension. "Commander Blackwood, we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm in participating in today's exhibition. However, I must remind you that weapons demonstrations typically showcase advanced technology." Scattered laughter rippled through the audience. Blackwood maintained her composure, years of military discipline serving her well. "Thank you, Ambassador. We understand that our approach might seem unconventional. But sometimes the oldest principles, refined through centuries of warfare, can surprise you." She gestured, and a massive container was brought forward. Inside lay what appeared to be an oversized rifle, but with multiple rotating barrels and a complex feeding mechanism. "The XM-117 hypervelocity rotary cannon," Blackwood announced. "A weapon that combines ancient principles with modern innovations." The Tauran General K'Arthak snorted, his massive frame shaking with amusement. "Projectile weapons? We evolved beyond such crude tools millennia ago. Our energy shields render them useless. Perhaps a demonstration would be more convincing than words," Blackwood suggested. She nodded to Dr. Sullivan, who activated the targeting range. A series of barriers materialized, standard energy shields used throughout the galaxy. Behind them stood various armor plates and defensive systems. The aliens watched with mild interest, clearly expecting disappointment. Blackwood lifted the XM-117, its weight familiar in her hands. The weapon hummed to life, its internal mechanisms spinning up to speed. Before anyone could comment further, she squeezed the trigger. The sound that followed defied description. It wasn't the elegant hum of energy weapons or the refined pulse of plasma cannons. It was pure, unleashed fury, thousands of hypervelocity rounds per second, each engineered to pierce energy shields through sheer kinetic overload. The first barrier shattered instantly, its energy matrix overwhelmed by the sheer volume of impacts. The second lasted barely a moment longer. When the barrage reached the armored targets, they didn't just break, they disintegrated. Silence fell over the arena. The Etherian ambassador's pale skin had grown even whiter. General K'Arthak stood frozen, his warriors' eyes wide with newfound respect. "Impossible," whispered a Nexus scientist, her crystalline data nodes flickering rapidly. The shield matrices, they shouldn't fail like that. The calculations. Sometimes, Blackwood said quietly, the simplest solutions are the most effective. We didn't try to overcome your shields with superior energy patterns or quantum manipulation. We simply hit them harder and faster than they could possibly adapt. The XM-117 cooled down, steam rising from its barrels. The demonstration range was in ruins, reduced to scattered debris in molten metal. But more importantly, the gathered aliens were looking at humanity's representative with new eyes, not with condescension, but with dawning understanding and, in some cases, fear. Dr. Sullivan stepped forward, his voice steady. The XM-117 represents a fusion of old and new, the basic principle of rotary cannon fire, enhanced with modern materials and hypervelocity ammunition. Sometimes the path forward isn't about abandoning the past, but building upon it. As the implications sank in, Blackwood could see the political landscape shifting. Earth wouldn't be dismissed as a primitive backwater anymore. They had proven that humanity's approach to warfare, direct, overwhelming, and deceptively simple, could stand alongside the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. The demonstration was over, but its echoes would resonate through the galaxy for years to come. Humanity had made its statement, not with elegant energy weapons or sophisticated quantum physics, but with the thunderous roar of kinetic fury. Legacy of Thunder. Ambassador Zyrlak's private chamber aboard the Aetherian flagship buzzed with urgent conversation. The elegant room, usually a sanctuary of diplomatic calm, now hosted an emergency meeting of the Galactic Defense Council. The humans cannot be allowed to freely distribute this technology, hissed Delegate Vex of the Nexus Collective, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. The implications for galactic security are precisely why we should embrace this development, interrupted General Karthak. The massive Tauran warrior had shed his earlier skepticism, replaced by a soldier's appreciation for effective weaponry. The XM-117 changes everything we thought we knew about defensive warfare. Commander Blackwood sat quietly at the far end of the conference table, Dr. Sullivan beside her. They watched as the most powerful military minds in the galaxy argued over their primitive weapon. What concerns me, said Admiral Naira Tvel, her bioluminescent Medusan features shifting colors with her mood, is not just the weapon itself, but what it represents. Humanity took our greatest defensive achievement, energy shielding, and simply overwhelmed it. No elegance, no finesse, just brute force applied with mathematical precision. Dr. Sullivan cleared his throat. If I may, Admiral. The XM-117 is merely one application of our research. We have other projects that might interest the Council. The room fell silent. Blackwood suppressed a smile, knowing what was coming. Other projects? Ambassador Zyrlak's voice carried a mix of curiosity and dread. Sullivan activated a holographic display. The XM-117 was developed for medium-range engagement. But we've also been working on long-range solutions. Project Thunderstrike. The hologram showed a massive orbital platform, bristling with dozens of scaled-up rotary cannons. Imagine the same principle, but with ammunition designed for orbital bombardment. Each round carries a micro-AI for terminal guidance. General Karthak leaned forward, his armor creaking. By the first star, you've weaponized mathematics itself. The sheer volume of fire would make planetary shields irrelevant. Which is exactly why this technology must be controlled, Delegate Vex insisted. The balance of power has already shifted, Blackwood spoke for the first time. But we're not here to threaten anyone. Earth seeks partnerships, not dominance. A new voice joined the conversation, Fleet Commander Rha Zil of the Kraxan Empire, who had been silent until now. The insectoid warrior's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps, a demonstration of trust is in order. The Kraxan Empire has long struggled with pirates in the Outer Rim. Their ships use stolen shield technology, making them difficult to engage. If humanity would be willing to share the XM-117 technology for a joint operation. Blackwood exchanged glances with Sullivan. This was unexpected. The Kraxan Empire was known for its isolationist policies. An interesting proposal, Ambassador Zyrlak mused. A controlled field test under actual combat conditions. It would allow us to assess both the weapons' capabilities and humanity's willingness to cooperate. There's more, Sullivan added, his expression serious. We've detected unusual energy signatures from the outer rim. Someone out there is experimenting with shield technology in ways that violate several galactic treaties. The implications hung heavy in the air. Pirates with advanced shield technology suggested a more sophisticated operation than mere raiders. The Crimson Syndicate, Admiral Tvell said grimly. They've been unusually active lately. If they're developing enhanced shields, then perhaps it's time to show them why humanity's approach to warfare earned its place in the galaxy, Blackwood finished. She stood, addressing the Council directly. Earth accepts the joint operation proposal. We'll provide 2 XM-117 equipped vessels and training for Kraxan crews. The meeting concluded with a flurry of diplomatic agreements and technical discussions. As they left the chamber, Sullivan whispered to Blackwood, "Think they suspect that we knew about the Crimson Syndicate all along? That we deliberately designed the XM-117 to counter their enhanced shields?" Blackwood smiled thinly. "Let them wonder. Sometimes the best strategy is letting your opponents think they're steering the ship." As their shuttle departed the Etherian flagship, Blackwood watched the gathered ships of the galactic fleet. Each vessel represented centuries of advancement in energy weapons and shield technology. And humanity had just rendered much of it obsolete with what the aliens had dismissed as a primitive approach. "Prometheus," she called to her AI assistant, "send word to Earth Command. Operation Thunder Roll is proceeding as planned. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our ability to think differently about problems everyone else has given up on solving." The pieces were in place. The joint operation would begin soon, and with it, a new chapter in galactic warfare. Humanity's thunder would echo through the stars, whether the galaxy was ready or not. The challenge. In the dimly lit command center of the GSS Hyperion, tactical displays cast a blue glow over the assembled officers. The joint fleet, 3 Earth vessels and 5 Kraxan warships, hung in high orbit above Nexus Prime, preparing for their first coordinated strike against the Crimson Syndicate. Latest intelligence confirms it, Lieutenant Thora Winters reported, her fingers dancing over the holographic interface. The Syndicate's main base is hidden in the Obsidian Nebula. Their enhanced shields are powered by stolen Etherian tech. Commander Blackwood studied the tactical overlay. The Obsidian Nebula was a maze of dark matter currents and quantum distortions, perfect cover for criminal operations. And our Kraxan allies? Fleet Commander Rhazil's hologram flickered to life. "My warriors are ready, Commander." Though some still question the wisdom of using projectile weapons in such volatile conditions. The real concern went unspoken. The Obsidian Nebula's unique properties made conventional energy weapons unreliable. If the XM-117 systems failed, the entire fleet would be vulnerable. Lieutenant Winters, status of the modifications? Complete, Commander. Dr. Sullivan's team adapted the XM-117 rounds with quantum-stabilized cores. They'll maintain integrity even in the nebula's distortion fields. Before Blackwood could respond, proximity alarms blared. A massive ship emerged from hyperspace, sleek, predatory, and bearing the blood-red markings of the Syndicate. "Well," Blackwood muttered, "seems they've decided to save us the trouble of hunting them down." The Syndicate vessel's commander opened a channel. His hologram revealed a scarred Nexus being, his crystalline form webbed with crimson energy patterns. "I am Overlord Zexthor of the Crimson Syndicate. Your intrusion into our territory has not gone unnoticed. His voice carried the grating harmonics typical of his species. However, we are civilized beings. I propose a challenge. Blackwood raised an eyebrow. We're listening. A single ship engagement. Your best vessel against mine. If you win, we'll surrender our base coordinates. If we win, your fleet retreats, and the Galactic Council acknowledges our right to operate in the Outer Rim. Lieutenant Winters whispered, "Commander, their ship's energy signature, it's off the charts. Those shields aren't just enhanced, they're something entirely new." Blackwood smiled grimly. "Overlord Zexthor, we accept your challenge. The GSS Hyperion will represent our fleet." The Syndicate leader's crystalline form flickered with amusement. "Ah, the human vessel. How quaint. Prepare for combat." As the channel closed, RHAZIL's hologram sparked with concern. "Commander, their ship outmasses the Hyperion 3-1. Their shield technology is exactly what we came to test our weapons against," Blackwood finished. "Lieutenant Winters, battle stations. Load the XM-117 batteries with the special packages Dr. Sullivan prepared." The Hyperion moved into position, its hull gleaming against the nebula's dark backdrop. The Syndicate vessel approached, its enhanced shields creating visible distortions in space. "They're powering weapons," Winters reported. "Multiple energy cannon signatures. Wait, something's wrong. Their shield harmonics are fluctuating." Blackwood leaned forward. "They're not fluctuating. They're adapting. Show me the pattern analysis." The tactical display revealed an intricate dance of energy fields. The Syndicate's shields weren't just blocking attacks, they were learning, evolving in real time. "Clever," Blackwood murmured. "But let's see how they handle something their algorithms have never encountered. All XM-117 batteries, execute pattern thunder." The Hyperion's rotary cannons roared to life. But instead of a continuous barrage, they fired in a complex rhythm, microsecond bursts followed by calculated pauses, creating interference patterns in the enemy's shield harmonics. "Direct hit," Winters called out. "Their adaptive algorithms can't keep up with the randomized firing patterns." The Syndicate vessel's shields flickered, struggled, and finally collapsed under the onslaught. Before they could recover, precise shots from the Hyperion's main batteries disabled their engines and weapons. "An impressive display," Zexthor's voice crackled over the comm, "though I suspect you knew about our shield technology long before this encounter." "Just as you knew we'd bring something capable of defeating it," Blackwood replied. "The question is, Overlord, who exactly supplied you with that technology?" The Syndicate leader's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "Perhaps, we should discuss this privately, Commander. There are forces at work here beyond simple piracy." As the Kraxan ships moved to secure the disabled vessel, Blackwood shared a knowing look with Lieutenant Winters. The real mission was just beginning. The weapons demonstration had been impressive, but the intelligence they'd gather about who was really behind the Syndicate's advanced technology, that would be worth far more than any military victory. "Prometheus," she sub-vocalized to her AI assistant, "initiate Protocol Thunderstrike. I think it's time we showed our mysterious friends that humanity's weapons aren't the only surprise we've brought to this galaxy." Breaking point. The interrogation chamber aboard the GSS Hyperion hummed with suppressed energy as Overlord Zexthor sat facing Commander Blackwood. His crystalline form had lost its earlier bravado, fracture lines visible where the XM-117's barrage had stressed his natural armor. "The Shadowed Consortium," he finally spoke, each word measured carefully. "They approached us 2 years ago with promises of advanced shield technology. In exchange, we would test their developments in real combat situations." Lieutenant Winters, standing by the door, exchanged glances with Blackwood. The Shadowed Consortium was supposed to be a myth, a secret organization of rogue scientists and military leaders from various species who believed the Galactic Alliance was holding back technological progress. "The shields were only the beginning," Zextor continued. They're developing weapons that violate every treaty in known space. But their real goal. He paused, his crystalline structure dimming. They want to start a war. A big one. Before he could elaborate, the Hyperion's alert system blared. Dr. Sullivan's voice crackled over the comm, "Commander, we've got multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Their energy signatures, they're using the same shield technology as the Syndicate." Blackwood was already moving. "Sound battle stations. Get me Fleet Commander RHA Zil." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as the crew rushed to their positions. The tactical display showed 15 vessels surrounding their position, sleek, dangerous, and unmarked. "This is Admiral Voran of the Shadowed Consortium," a new voice announced over all frequencies. "Your interference in our operations ends now. Surrender the Syndicate vessel and withdraw, or face annihilation." RHA Zil's hologram appeared, his mandibles clicking anxiously. "Commander, their ships carry weapons I've never seen before. Energy readings are off the charts. Good thing we didn't bring just the XM-117s then," Blackwood smiled grimly. "Dr. Sullivan, initiate Project Thunderchild." The Hyperion's hull began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing hidden weapon ports. What appeared to be standard communication arrays reconfigured into complex targeting systems. "The XM-117 was never our true endgame," Blackwood announced to the enemy fleet. "It was just meant to draw you out. Lieutenant Winters, show them what humanity's been really working on." The Hyperion's new weapons powered up, a combination of rotary kinetic cannons and experimental quantum disruptors that Sullivan's team had developed by studying the principles behind the XM-117's shield-breaking capabilities. "Impossible," Admiral Voran's voice wavered. "Our intelligence indicated." "Was exactly what we wanted it to show," Blackwood cut him off. "Humanity didn't just develop new weapons. We developed new ways of thinking about space combat itself." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The Hyperion moved with impossible agility, its hybrid weapon systems tearing through the consortium's advanced shields. The Kraxan ships, which Blackwood had secretly equipped with modified versions of their new technology, joined the fight with devastating effect. But the consortium ships fought back with terrifying weapons of their own, reality-warping beams that could erase matter from existence, temporal disruptors that aged hull plating into dust. Multiple hull breaches. Winters reported as another blast rocked the ship. "Port side XM-117 batteries are offline." Blackwood gripped her command chair. "Reroute power to the quantum stabilizers." "Dr. Sullivan, how long until Thunderchild is ready for full deployment?" "The main cannon is charging," Sullivan's voice was tense. "But Commander, using it this close to the nebula could have unexpected effects. Better than letting these weapons fall into the wrong hands." Blackwood opened a channel to all Allied ships. "Clear the target zone. This ends now." The Hyperion's hull split open like a blooming flower, revealing a massive central cannon that combined principles from every weapon system humanity had developed. As it powered up, the very fabric of space seemed to shiver. "By the first star," RHA Zil whispered, "what have you created?" "Something that proves humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology," Blackwood replied. "It was our willingness to question every assumption, break every rule, and rewrite the laws of warfare itself." As the Thunderchild cannon prepared to fire, Blackwood couldn't help but wonder if the galaxy was truly ready for what humanity had brought to the stars. But ready or not, change was coming, at the speed of thunder. Thunder's echo. The aftermath of the Thunderchild cannon's activation hung in space like a frozen lightning storm. Where the consortium fleet had been, reality itself seemed to ripple and twist. The surviving enemy vessels fled into hyperspace, leaving behind a graveyard of broken ships and shattered ambitions. "Damage report," Blackwood called out, helping Lieutenant Winters back to her station. The bridge of the Hyperion looked like a war zone, panels sparking, emergency lights casting red shadows across exhausted faces. Hull integrity at 42%, Winters reported, wiping blood from a cut above her eye. XM-117 batteries completely depleted. Thunderchild cannon, offline, possibly permanently. But Commander, you need to see these readings from the nebula. The tactical display showed the Obsidian Nebula transforming. The quantum distortions caused by the Thunderchild's discharge had changed its very structure, creating what appeared to be a stable passage through its heart. A hyperspace lane, Dr. Sullivan breathed, his voice filled with wonder. We've accidentally created a stable hyperspace lane through the nebula. Do you understand what this means? Before Blackwood could respond, multiple communications channels lit up. The Galactic Council was demanding explanations. The Kraxan Empire wanted details about the weapon systems. The Etherian Confederation was calling for an emergency session. Commander, Prometheus interrupted, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the nebula passage. Something's coming through. A massive ship emerged from the newly formed lane, ancient, majestic, and clearly of human design. Its hull bore markings that made Blackwood's heart stop. That's impossible, Sullivan whispered. The Pathfinder? But it was lost during humanity's first deep space expedition. The lost ship's communications crackled to life. GSS Hyperion, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Pathfinder. We've been trapped in a temporal pocket within the nebula for the past 50 years. Your weapon discharge disrupted the quantum barrier holding us here. The bridge fell silent. The Pathfinder's disappearance had launched humanity's massive military research program. Every weapon they developed, every innovation they'd created, had been driven by the fear of losing another ship to the unknown. By saving ourselves, Rodriguez continued, you've mapped a safe passage through the most dangerous region of known space. The nebula has been a barrier between galactic sectors for millennia. Now everything changes, Blackwood finished. She opened a channel to the gathered fleet. To all vessels, what you've witnessed today isn't just about weapons or warfare. Humanity came to the stars carrying the weight of our losses, the drive of our determination, and the strength of our innovation. Fleet Commander Rhazil's hologram appeared, his warrior's stance now one of respect. The Kraxan Empire acknowledges humanity's achievement. Your weapons proved formidable, but your true power lies in how you think, turning setbacks into advantages, finding paths where none existed. The next hours were a blur of rescue operations, diplomatic negotiations, and scientific discoveries. The Thunderchild's discharge had done more than create a hyperspace lane, it had revealed patterns in spacetime that would revolutionize interstellar travel. As the Hyperion limped back to port, escorting the long-lost Pathfinder, Blackwood stood at the observation deck. The stars seemed different now, holding both promise and challenge. Commander, Winters joined her, the Galactic Council is proposing a new joint defense initiative. They want humanity to lead it. Blackwood smiled. Of course they do. We showed them something they'd forgotten, that true strength isn't in having the most advanced technology. It's in never stopping to question, to innovate, to push boundaries. And the Thunderchild cannon will be dismantled. We've moved beyond the need for such weapons. The galaxy needs Pathfinders now, not just warriors. As the fleet jumped to hyperspace, Blackwood thought about the legacy they'd created. Humanity had come to the stars looking for answers about their lost ship. Instead, they'd found something greater, a way to turn their greatest loss into the galaxy's greatest discovery. The sound of thunder had faded, but its echo would reshape the galaxy for generations to come.